Hi there, Michelle here, and welcome back to my channel. And today's video is my Summerween project. Usually I do my Summerween projects late June, middle July, but I was working on that gosh darn Stranger Things blanket for almost a month, so everything kind of got pushed back. I also didn't have the clearest idea of what I wanted to do. I do now. For any of y'all who don't know what Summerween is, it's basically Halloween in the summertime. So I originally heard it from Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls is like my favorite one of my favorite cartoons. So what I like to do is take something that's like Halloween, spooky, creepy, something like that, and then make it summer. Here's the thing, I am a fall person. I even really like winter. Like, I think last winter was like my first winter that I'm like, you know what? I actually like winter. I do miss the green trees and like the warm breeze. For the majority of the summer, I'm inside. I'm inside just as much as I would be in the winter time. I'm not outside doing a bunch of stuff, which maybe I should. Maybe I should get more fresh air, but I don't know what to do. So I just stay in the house and crochet all day. That's my thing. And it's the same in the winter time, so it doesn't really matter what the weather like is outside because I'm inside anyways. But if I can be inside and it's cozy and maybe I have the window open, like in a nice cool breeze, like a nice October breeze comes in through my window, and like you hear all the crunchy leaves falling to the ground, yeah, I'll pick that any day over the summer. If I can do a project that's a little bit fall themed, I'm gonna do it. Now, I do have my past projects, so if any of y'all are new here, I feel like a lot of y'all are new from last year's Summerween, so I thought I would go over them briefly. So the first project I ever did that was Summerween theme is this one here. This is the jack-o'-melon. It is a jack-o'-lantern watermelon, aka the jack-o'-melon. And this is actually inspired by Gravity Falls. I saw it while I was watching it and I'm like, I need to make it. So I ended up making this, and the inside lining is this kind of pink color, almost resembling a watermelon. I really, really like this one. I love that light green that I did to make it look like it's the center of the watermelon, like when you cut into it. I love this project so much. And then last year's project is this one here. This one, every time I show it on screen, because the way that I have like my camera set up, it makes everything purple. So I gotta be very careful with this one. This was last year's Summerween project. It is a skeleton floating in a pool on a pink floaty. And then I put a scallop edge, kind of make it look like it's waves. And on the inside, I should have matched it better, but when I was at Fabricland looking for fabric, I saw this fabric. It's just a bunch of fancy ducks and top hats. I didn't know what other project I would use a blue fabric with fancy ducks with top hats on, so I'm like, let's just put it in this one. Now, these projects are on my Patreon, so if you are following me on my Patreon or you don't know that I have a Patreon, because I don't really advertise it as much as I used to, because I used to be making a pattern a month, but then that was just way too much for me. So I kind of scaled back. So if you are interested in any of the grid patterns I do have them on my Patreon. They're not like professional written patterns. It's more people ask me for the grid, so I put the grid, but then I added all the extra information that maybe you would need. If you have any questions about my patterns on Patreon, you can always ask them and I will respond to those. Just letting you know if anyone's interested in my Patreon patterns. So this year's project, it took me a little bit to kind of think of it. And then once I thought of it, I'm like, I don't know what type of yarn to use. So I figured that all out. And if you have been watching my vlogs lately, then y'all probably already know what I'm gonna do. So it's gonna be another tote bag. I know, I'm either doing tote bag, tapestries, or granny squares. It is one or the other, but I love them, okay? But I'm gonna be doing a tapestry of a haunted sandcastle. So it's gonna be a haunted house made out of sand, or like sand looking yarn, on the beach. Honestly, I was kind of trying to figure out something to do, and I'm like, okay, that's just an idea. If I think of something better, I'll do something else. And then it just kept like sinking in that like, no, this is what I'm gonna do this year. So I have actually made a haunted house Halloween sweater before. This one here, I think I made this one in 2023. I was kind of thinking this year, instead of me trying to figure out a whole new design, just take that design and make it beige, and instead of the moon behind it, I make the sun behind it, because it's, you know, supposed to be on a beach. So that's what I'm gonna do, is I'm going to make a haunted sandcastle. And I think that's a pretty good Summerween project. And I did figure out the yarn that I'm gonna use for the project, which I am so happy about, because honestly, I wasn't too sure yesterday, because yesterday I was actually gonna film this intro, and then I'm like, I don't know what yarn I'm gonna use. I can't do an intro and not show the yarn. I found the yarn. I'm gonna be using this yarn here. Two of these yarns have been, these two yarns here, have been in my yarn stash for years. These are probably one of the original yarns that I have bought back when I maybe had one tote of yarn. Compared, like if you watch my yarn organizing videos, which I do need to do another one. Like back in the day when I maybe had one tote, this is probably part of that. It's so old that it's still a Craft Smart yarn. If you shop at Michael's, you might be familiar with the Craft Smart Value yarn. I'm pretty sure I bought this back in like 2022 or 2023. So it's been quite some time, and it looks like I used a little bit of it, but it's not too much, and I'm pretty sure this should be enough for the bag. But I do have an idea for the back, so don't worry, we'll talk about that in a second. But nowadays, the Craft Smart yarn goes by Loops and Threads Soft Classics. It's exactly the same. Like, it's the exact same yarn. It just goes by a different name. So if anybody was wondering, oh no, what happened to Craft Smarts? It is now Loops and Threads Soft Classics. It's the same price, I think the same amount of yarn, and it feels exactly the same. It is just a thicker worsted weight yarn. Normally I use Impeccable yarn, so that's Loops and Threads Impeccable, and it is a 4-weight medium yarn, and this is a 4-weight medium yarn, but this one is much thicker than the Impeccable. Lately, when I do my tapestry projects, I always say, oh, use bonus Hayfield DK yarn, which I absolutely love that yarn, but because I've already done a project with the Loops and Threads yarn, and there's not like a ton of detail in it, because basically what I'm doing is I'm taking my old grid and make it a sand color and then just doing that. I'm also like adding a little bit more and making it a sun and stuff like that, but I'm not really reinventing my pattern. I'm just kind of maybe altering it a little bit, and I think I'm flipping the image so it looks somewhat different, but technically the same. So, you know, and I've used that yarn, so I'm okay using this thicker yarn. Also, might I add again, this is the year of me using as much yarn as I can from my yarn stash before I have to buy new stuff. So I don't mind if I have to buy one main color for something, but the rest is from my yarn stash. But I'm hoping that I don't have to buy any yarn for this project. I think this here is going to be the main color because although, yes, it is going to be a sand castle on a beach, I don't want it to be the most beautiful of days. I would like to be a little gloomy, so that's why I'm kind of thinking of this dark blue. And this color is called Reef. Then for the sand castle, I'm actually going to be using this yarn here. This is the Premier Basics worsted weight yarn by Premier Yarns. It is the same thickness as the Craft Smart, so that's why I'm using this. And I thought that this would be a perfect like sand color. I think that I could have maybe liked it to be maybe a little bit more on the yellow side. I don't want to buy new yarn for this project. I think this will be fine. This will look like sand. I'm okay with this. This one here, I believe I got at Mary Maxim years ago when I was making the Klaus scarf from Umbrella Academy. I think that was probably the only good thing that came out of that season was that scarf. I love that scarf so much. And this one is called Linen. And then I have this yellow, which is also a Craft Smart yarn. I have used this yellow in countless projects that it is in ball form now, so I really don't know the color. It's not a bright, bright yellow. It's more of like a buttery yellow, I guess. And I think that's gonna look okay. So this is going to be used for the sun. Now, for the back panel. Normally for these types of projects, for any type of bag project, the back panel is usually the main color, which would have been this one, for the whole thing. So I don't really have to worry about it. But yesterday, while I was kind of planning this out, I thought to myself, what is more summery and beachy than a picnic blanket? And so on the back panel, I am going to do a gingham pattern. I love crocheting gingham so much. I think it looks so good. I have a third color for the gingham on the back, which is this one here. So for the gingham, I'm going to use this blue, which I hope I'll have enough because these are just going to be on the sides of the bag. I don't think I'm going to use that much of it. I think it will be fine. Like, I honestly think it's going to be fine. So for the dark color, I'm going to be using the same as the front color as long as I have enough. I do have a backup though. Okay, I have a backup. Then for the medium color, I'm going to be using this. This was actually the color that I was thinking of doing for the main bag until I came in here right before I filmed just to see what other yarn I had, and then I saw this one and I'm like, obviously it's going to be this one. So this is going to be the medium color, and then for the light color I'm actually going to use the same sand color. Now if I run out of this, like I don't think I'm gonna run out of it, okay? Like, I think that this is gonna be more than enough yarn for the castle and the gingham on the back. But if I do have a backup of this. So I do have backups. If you look at the gingham pattern, the medium color is used the most. And that is why I'm gonna use this one, because I'm not using this one at all on the front. So this yarn is definitely gonna last me for the whole back of this project. I think it would look so cute with the haunted sandcastle in the front and then a fun gingham pattern on the back. Also, the size of this bag, I think I'm gonna make it the same size as, you know, I'll just go grab it because it's a lot easier just to show you what I'm talking about. I'm actually gonna make it probably the same size as this one here. It is a little bigger, but I think it's a better like beach bag, even though I don't go to the beach. I'm still gonna make it like a beach tote bag. This here is my Hawkins AV Club tote bag. I think this is the size that I'm gonna do for my tote bag. It may turn out just a little bit bigger, only because I am using thicker yarn. Like, it'd be the same single crochets across and the same amount of rows up, but because this yarn is ever so slightly thicker, it's probably gonna turn out just a little bit bigger, which I'm fine with. If I ever go to the beach, which I don't, I can bring it with me and it'll be a good beach bag. I probably could fit a towel in it. I showed you the project, I showed you the yarn. It is time to actually start making it. If you are new to my channel and you like crocheting and yarn and knitting and thrifting and the 80s and this general vibe, then why not hit the subscribe button? If you subscribe to my channel, then you will be up to date with all of my latest videos and projects. Yesterday, I started working on the bag. I've gotten a lot farther than I thought I would. I started at around 6:30 p.m. and I stopped around like 9 o'clock and I got pretty far. Like, the last tapestry project I did was so big, again, it was the Stranger Things tapestry blanket, that doing one row took me like 15 minutes. Okay, so coming from that and doing this, it's like nothing. There's hardly any color changing at all, which is also so nice. And I just remember the first time that I did this, because obviously this is kind of like the second rendition of it. I did do like the actual Halloween sweater. I remember that one being like so complex, because again, at that time, that might have been like maybe my third or fourth tapestry project. After the blanket, any tapestry is going to be super easy. Like that goose one that I always complain about, that one was a walk in the park compared to the blanket. So I cannot complain about tapestry projects anymore. I just have to remember the blanket and then I'll be like, oh, this is nothing. It is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be, mainly because of the yarn choice. It's a lot thicker than I remember it being. So I've gotten this far. I'm almost halfway through it. Can you believe that? I probably will get through this front panel today. The front panel today will probably be done, if I'm being honest. And the back isn't too bad. I also don't know at this very moment in time if I'm gonna put a lining in it, and I don't know if I want to buy handles. Because here's the thing, if I buy like the straps for the hand, like the canvas handles that I always buy, if I buy them, then I do have to put a lining in, because I like to attach those to a lining. But if I don't want to put a lining in, then I don't know if I'm gonna do that. I might just crochet handles. This is not an everyday bag. As you can see, it's very big compared to my normal bags. This is gonna be more of, if one day in the future, if ever, I go to a beach, then I could like put my towel in here and stuff like that, and I don't care if it stretches, because honestly, if it does stretch a little bit, I can fit more things in. Or it might just be like a crochet bag for my projects. So that's what I'm kind of leaning towards, and I normally don't do those types of projects, but like this one in particular, and here's the thing, it's not because I'm lazy. It's not that I don't want to go to Fabricland, okay? Any excuse I can go to Fabricland, I will go to a fabric store, I will go to a yarn store, okay? It's not that. It's not that I don't want to spend money on fabric. It's just, I don't know if I want to do it. Like, I don't know if it's needed, if that makes any sense. I kind of just like the idea of it just being not unfinished, because here's the thing, if I decide to not put a lining in, I will be weaving in the ends, okay? So the inside won't look like a chaotic mess. I will weave them in. If I put a lining, then obviously I'm not gonna weave in those ends. But at this very moment, I just don't know if I want it to be a fully lined bag. Like, I see the vision with it lined, but I also see the vision without it lined, and I don't know if I want to line it. Normally, like, yes, I always line my tote bags. I just don't know if I want to do it for this one. I'm working on the sun right now. I think there's enough contrast between the sun and the sandcastle. I kind of wish the sandcastle was a little bit more golden brown. I didn't want to buy yarn for this project, so we're just doing this. I was also thinking maybe I should have done like a dark brown for all the windows and stuff, but I'm like, you know what? What's spookier than like black windows? I just stuck with the black yarn. I also just had it left over from my car projects. Remember I had to do like some borders, like the headrests I did with a black yarn. It was a thicker black yarn and it worked perfectly with this. So I'm like, okay, it's in the house. Let's just use that up. This one I'm kind of getting worried a little bit about. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of yarn still in here. I'm just kind of concerned that this might not be enough to do the back part like I wanted to. I still want to do the gingham on the back, but I don't know if this is going to be enough to do the gingham because I'm really worried that I'm going to run out. We'll have to see how much yarn I have left when I'm done the front, but I might have to switch up my yarn choices for the gingham. This is just the update for right now. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to get this front part done today. I'm getting pretty far. I'm almost actually done the castle. Crazy. I want to point out why I love putting out my Monday vlogs is because sometimes y'all give me inspiration. So I was talking about how I wanted to do a sandcastle in my last Monday vlog, and somebody said, you should put a flag at the top of the castle because sandcastles sometimes have little flags. And that's such a good idea, and I wouldn't have thought of it, and I would have been upset if I would have seen that after I had finished it. Luckily, I was only like here today, so I didn't even get to the top of it, but I decided I'm gonna put the little flag right up there. I would have loved to put it on top of here, but that's too close to the sun. So I'm gonna put it right there, and I'm actually gonna do it in this orange color because I don't wanna go back into the camper today. And I wanted to make sure I had a yarn that was the same thickness of the yarn that I'm using. This is actually from, I believe, my Project Hail Mary cardigan. This is what the flag color is going to be, and I think it's going to be enough contrast to the blue because blue and orange are contrasting colors. All right, so I'm in the camper to look for some yarn because I know that the dark blue yarn that I used for the front of the bag, not going to be enough for the back of the bag, unfortunately. I have this. This is a dark blue, but it looks a little too dark. I wanted something that was a little bit more brighter than this. But this is all like that thicker yarn. Okay, no blue. Could have swore I had another blue. I'm gonna look in this bin here. This is the cool bin, and I'm looking for something. It has to be a little thicker. I don't understand how this happens. Like, I don't understand how this happens. I really need to go through this, and I need to find a solution to keep them from doing that. I don't know if I'm going to find anything. I really don't want to buy yarn. This is my sister's yarn, so I don't want to use, even though her yarn's very sparkly. It's still too thin, though.
20 minutes later.
I'm not entirely done the front, but I'm going to start the back now anyways. So, first off, this is how much of the color I have. I didn't realize how fast I would go through this. Also, I am 95% sure I've used this before. Okay, it was not a full skein of yarn, but I didn't even use that much of the full skein of yarn. So anyways, this is not gonna be enough to do the back. So I went to the camper and I found this blue. I think this blue will work. Would I rather have had it this color? Yes. But you know what? Thinking about it now, it's kind of making the sandcastle, in my eyes, look a little gray. So maybe this will make it look, maybe the darker color will make it look a little beige. Maybe it was the green in this. Where's that yarn now? Oh, I'm using it to prop up my iPad. My original idea was I was actually going to do this color, this color, this color. This color, unfortunately, is too thin. I am pretty sure this is a brunette yarn. I'm throwing it in my yarn section of yarn that has to go outside. So I'm kind of thinking about this. Fun fact about this blue yarn. I don't know where it came from. Probably Brittany. But anyways, this is the yarn that I was kind of thinking of using originally for the tentacles on my Stranger Things blanket. I know everything comes back to the Stranger Things blanket, okay? It's still on my mind. I'm still obsessed with it, even though I'm done. Again, I still have to weave in the ends, but that's not happening right now because this is happening. it was too thick, and that's why I ended up buying another one. Anyways, I'm going to use this color instead as the dark color. This one is still going to be the medium color, and then of course I'm going to use this for the other color. There's so much of this, I am not worried about running out of this color. The reason why I have to stop the front is because I forgot a small little tiny detail. I do half double crochets when I do gingham. Completely forgot I did that. And I don't want to redo my math and figure it out single crochet wise. I'm stopping the front panel because I'm now going to work on the back panel. Because for the back panel, I want the gingham to line up. I want everything to be a perfect square. So if I get the back done, and then that way I can come back to the front and be like, oh, I just need to add 1 or 2 more rows, rather than me adding like, say like 5 more rows and I didn't need to do that. Does that make sense? So I'm going to start the gingham. So this is going to be now my gingham colors. And I think this is going to look really good. I'm going to start the gingham now, and we'll see how far I get with that today. So I was doing this and I was like, wow, I'm making some good time. I'm doing single crochet when I really wanted to do half double. So I was wondering, I'm like, oh, I'm already on the 4th row. It should be almost a square right now, and it's not. I know my half double method is like tried and true. Like I know it works perfectly in half double. I'm gonna have to take it apart and redo it. Yay! Completely forgot. Just completely forgot. It's fine. Last night I got this far. I didn't get too far, mainly because I was working on the front panel a majority of the day yesterday. But I really wanted to start on this, and then of course I had to take it apart because I messed up, but that's fine. It's looking pretty good now. I got to the 1st row of the 2nd blocks of colors, I guess. Instead of going light blue, dark blue, I'm going to be going light blue, beige, and the light blue is going to be on top of the dark, so it's, you know, kind of like a checkerboard kind of there, and then on top of the light is going to be the beige color. Now, I did make a grid for this, but I'm not going to use it while I'm doing this. I'm just using my row counter. This one is probably like the cheapest one you can get, and it's my favorite because it looks like it's from the 80s. I actually just got this at Michael's. Every row is 7 double crochets by 5 rows. Every time I reach like the 5th row, so like 5, 10, 15, 20, then I know it's time to switch colors. Because sometimes like looking at this, I'm like, how many rows did I do? I honestly think I can get this back panel done today. Because it is half double, it is not going to take me as long as the front panel. Also, the color switching, not that bad. I don't have to keep replacing bobbins or anything. I'm just literally leaving them like this. Hopefully I can get the back panel done. I just measured this to the front part of the project, and I'm about halfway done. I just have to do 4 more sections. Like I'm saying, like that's a section, that's a section, and then this should be done. This is actually looking really good. I really like this beige. It looks so good with these colors. And even this dark blue, I was kind of like worried about it because I really wanted the other blue instead, but I would not have nearly enough yarn for that. But I think that this blue looks so good. I don't think I mentioned how I'm doing these, so I thought I would mention it now. It's been some time since the last time I did do gingham. For me personally, and like my intention and how I like the look of it, is I do half double crochets instead of single crochets. Per square, I like to do 7 half double crochets by 5 rows. I think it works out perfectly. And luckily my pattern, when I first like drew the first side of it with the sandcastle and stuff, it was 70 single crochets across. And I'm like, oh, that's perfect, because these are all 7, and so when I have to calculate this, I have to do it by 7. 7 fits into 70 10 times. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have 10 squares. This is the back side. So the back side, I am carrying the yarn over. When I'm working on the back side, I like to do every other stitch, because if I were to carry it over for the entirety of the back, then you would really see it on the front side. Also, to do a really good gingham is you want to pick 3 colors from the same like color family. I don't know if that makes sense. Like if you're going to do blue, pick all blues. If you're gonna do pink or red, pick all like the same types of colors. You want to pick a dark color, a medium color, and a light color. Now the light color, I did this beige. I think the other gingham ones I've done, instead of beige, I did white, but you could technically do like a very, 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 very light blue. You want to make sure that the light and the medium blue have a lot of contrast, and the medium blue and the dark blue also have a lot of contrast. The beige is my light color. This blue is my medium color, and then this dark blue is the dark color. And whatever your medium color is, that's kind of the star of the show. So you want to make sure that's a color that you really want prominent, because that color is going to be used in every single block of colors. The first one, it was the dark color and the medium color. In the second block of colors, it's the medium color and the light color. And then it repeats itself. So every other one repeats it. So all the odds are the same and all the even are the same. So like the first row, this is the dark color, the dark blue, and this is the light color, the medium blue. But in the next row, the medium blue is now technically the dark color, and the beige is now the light color. If you look at it this way, how they line up, these are all the dark colors in the row that goes like this. And then these are all the light colors that are in the rows that go this way. For row 1, that's the dark color, that's the light color. For row 2, that's the dark color, that's the light color. And then row 3, we're repeating the dark color, the light color. So you see how I'm saying, for this row, that's the dark color, for this row, that's the dark color, for this row is the dark color, right? Row 1, that's the light color. Row 2, that's the light color. Row 3, that's the light color. Does that kind of make sense? So that's just kind of how you map out the colors for your gingham. So I'm making pretty good progress. There's a little total row. So I'm making good progress. Okay, Toro. I think I'm gonna do one more row, and then it should be even with this. But if this needs to be like 1 or 2 more rows higher, I never cut the yarn. This bag took me no time at all, and know why? Because I use this like chunkier. This is even chunky yarn, but like compared to the yarn that I have been using lately, this is chunky yarn to me. I remember when I first started crocheting, like I used like really chunky yarn because I wanted to get projects done. And now like obviously I take my time, but I've moved on to like thinner yarn. So like going back to even like a yarn this thick, it takes me absolutely no time at all. If I were to have like crocheted this with a thinner yarn, sure, it would take me the exact same amount of time to like do like this many squares, but it wouldn't be wide enough and it wouldn't be tall enough. For instance, I want to show you the Bonus Hayfield DK yarn. So this is like the yarn that I use for a lot of my tapestries. Look at the difference of thicknesses, okay? The project is taking no time because I'm using this like really thick yarn, when normally when I do tapestry projects, I use this really thin yarn. And like to me, this thin yarn is like normal yarn to me now, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, like I just want to show you the difference in size. Update on the tote bag. I knew this project was not going to take me that long to do. I just didn't realize how fast it actually took me to do. Like it took no time, which I haven't been this fast on a project in forever. The front piece done. I think this is looking pretty good. I really hope it's giving haunted house, you know, because I know it looks like a sandcastle, but I'm really hoping that it does give haunted house just a little bit. To me, it's just looking like a normal sandcastle, but I feel like it's still haunted house, right? I put a little flag there, which looks so good, by the way. So thank you very much for the person who commented that I should put a flag. Amazing. I absolutely love it. And the sun looks so good. Look how perfect this sun looks. I haven't cut it yet from the yarn because I don't know if I need to go 1 or 2 more rows up. I don't think I actually do. I think it worked out pretty well. This is the back panel I did yesterday. Look at how good that looks. This looks so good. Part of me just like wants to make it into a cardigan now, because like that'd be so adorable for like a back panel, and then I could just do, no, it's a tote bag. Isn't this adorable? Doesn't this look so good? I really love the colors. And you know what? Even though, yes, I did have to use a blue that I didn't really want to use because I wanted to use this one, I think this one would look so good. I think this actually turned out really well. Today what I have to do is I have to sew them together. I think I'm just going to single crochet them around. I think that will be okay. Part of me was kind of thinking, should I put like a strip to make it more like boxy? Because like this took me no time. Like, I could definitely add more things onto it if I really want to. Okay, I'm deciding on that. I'm not too sure, but I do need to get it done today because I have to go tomorrow to a beach somewhere because I really want to take photos of it on a beach, you know, even though I don't go to the beach. But I'm kind of thinking that maybe I want to make it more of like a square tote bag. So I'm thinking maybe with the dark blue, because I have so much of this dark blue, with the dark blue, I could make like a big panel, and the panel could go down and then around, and then the front and the back could be kind of like this type of beach tote bag. That's kind of what I'm thinking about. And if I'm not going to put a lining in, that means I don't have to do like an intricate sewing, because if I were to put a lining in and I'm making it a boxy shape, then that means I'd also have to like get 2 pieces, then get a piece here, figure out sewing and like math and stuff. And if I'm not going to put a lining in, I could go a little, not even crazy. I could experiment with it a little bit more. And I'm kind of thinking about crocheting the handles in the beige color because it's kind of like that wickery kind of color. So kind of just like discussing it right now. I think I am going to make another panel in, ooh, but I also have a lot of this left. Okay, it's between these two. I just talked myself into doing it, and it's gonna happen because I got so much time. Between these two, I'm gonna put another panel, and then I'm going to crochet the panel onto it, very much like I did to this bag here. I'm going to make a long strip. So just a really long strip that goes down here, along there, along the other side and up. And then I'll sew that on, and then I will figure out the handle situation. I know what I want the handles to look like. I know I want the handles in this yarn, but I just have to figure out how the handles are going to get attached without stretching too much or coming undone. So I don't know if I just want to crochet the handles straight onto the bag or crochet them separate and then sew them on. I have to think about that. Honestly, it is kind of really nice to take a break from any big crochet projects, because even last week, the car projects, they didn't seem that daunting until I realized the join as you go takes longer than I remember, and every single time it happens to me. I really like those projects, but this project here is just, it's like a breath of fresh air. Just doing something kind of simple, not having to worry, oh no, if I'm gonna get it done or not. And it's like, it's technically done. Like, I could just sew it together and I'm done. But I kind of want to go a little bit more beyond that and maybe crochet a few more things. So far, I am really loving how this looks. Working on the side panels now, I've decided to do the darker blue. I think that this is just gonna look good. Would have liked to do this one here, but I just don't think that this is going to be enough yarn for that. And I'd hate to get like more than halfway through and realize I'm out of yarn, because then I'd have to take the whole thing apart and then redo it with other yarn. And I know I could have done like the checkered pattern as well, but I just want a solid color. I think a solid color would look okay. So I'm going to go with this one. I finished what I think is enough for this. I didn't take it off of this because I think I'm going to sew it together with this blue color because I really like the blue color. And then that way, if I need to add on to this, I can keep adding on, or if I made too much of it, I can take it off. Because I did like do like a rough measurement. So like I kind of went like that and then kind of just draped it around, but like a lot better than what I'm doing right now. I think the front panel is just slightly bigger than the back panel, because the back panel, I kind of like tightened my tension a bit when I was like carrying over the yarn. So I figure if I do the front panel first, I can stretch the back panel out to fit. I did have to add a few more rows onto the side panels. So I have the one panel on, and I think it's okay. Might I add, this bag is like way bigger than I even thought it was. And I know I said it was a pretty big bag like when I started this project. I did not realize how big this bag is gonna get. Anyways, I'm gonna put the back panel on now. Well, it's sewn together. I don't want to say this is another Stranger Things pillow incident. It might be another Stranger Things pillow incident. Yeah. And for those who don't know that, which I feel a lot of y'all do now, I wanted to make a tote bag. And it turned out so big, I had to make it a pillow. This bag is so much bigger than I thought it was gonna be. But I'm gonna continue. I'm going to continue with it, okay? This is not going to become a pillow. I do not want it to be a pillow. I do not have a pillow to put in it anyways. Just got to figure out how I want to do the handles. The next day, I was not able to finish this part here, and sewing it together took much longer than I expected it to, so I was like not really rushing yesterday to get things done. I'm like, it'll be fine, I'll get it all done, and then it didn't. So here I am, 8 a.m. trying to get this done because I want to go and take photos with it today because it's like a beach theme, so I want to go to a beach. What I'm doing now is I'm just doing one row of the sand color on top just to make it look nice. I have to attach the handles and then I have to weave in some ends. I finished the stitching on the top. I think it looks pretty good. Now I gotta add the handles. For the handles, I did 100 chains and then I went like around. So I'd go down one side and then instead of coming back up the same side, I went around and then came back up the other side, and then that way you get like this round there. I don't think you're prepared for how big this bag actually is. Look at the size of this. This bag is gigantic. It's much bigger than I thought. But like, that's okay. I've never made a bag this size before. I really like what I did with the handles. I think I actually could have moved the handles down a little bit more, but I wasn't too sure with the length, but they kind of stretched. So I like how round it is. I think it does look cute. And then from the inside, you know, it's just that. It's fine. I'm fine with that. This is what it looks like on me. It's gigantic, okay? This is what the gingham looks like. This looks so good, by the way. You know what? I'm just realizing what this looks like. This looks like the bags that you would get if you were to buy something at Bath & Body Works. I kept looking at this and I'm like, this looks very familiar. I know what this is. This is something I've seen before, like this exact pattern. It's the Bath & Body Works bag that you get if you buy something there. I think it looks really cute though. Like, it's pretty cute. I do like the gingham. I cannot stress enough how much I love gingham. I think gingham looks so, so good. Technically, if you wanted to, you could just put this bag like this on the grass and you have a picnic blanket. Maybe I needed to go somewhere and I needed to carry a bunch of stuff that's like not like super heavy. Like, I'm not going to put a bunch of weights and books in here. But you know, if I'm going to the beach, if I were to go to a beach, I could put like a beach ball in here and I could put maybe an umbrella and maybe a towel. Also, I do want to point out that I did weave in all the ends. All the ends have been woven in. That's what it looks like. I did a pretty good job. You can kind of see where I did carry over the yarn a little bit. That looks pretty nice and neat and tidy. So do you remember at the beginning of the project when I'm like, oh, I'm going to make it this size. I think this size would be adorable for it. Yeah, I don't think I did that. Look at how big this thing is. I think I did make it a little bit longer because basically what I did is I took this grid from my Halloween sweater and just put it in bag form. So I think originally it was like 80 single crochets across and I made it 70. So I even made it smaller than the actual sweater. So that's why it's very important to do gauge swatches when you're using different yarn. Now I knew that this would have been a lot bigger, okay? Like I knew going into this that this bag was going to be bigger than my typical tote bag. I just didn't realize it was going to be this big. It also doesn't help that I decided to put panels on the sides. So I ended up putting one giant panel all the way around, and then I did a single crochet. But when I did the single crochet, I did it from this side, so it looks very nice and neat here. And then over here, it just kind of looks like that. It's not bad. I'm not mad at that. And then of course the handles, I probably could have put them a little bit lower. Like I could have sewed them lower. Like this, it could have come down to here. But I just don't see myself fixing that anytime soon, because why? It's one of those things where it's like, I really don't need to fix it. I probably could fit a folding chair in here. This to me does look like a haunted sandcastle. Also, thank you very much to the person who suggested I put a little flag on top. I think the flag looks adorable. I kind of wish I would have put one here as well, but I think that I would have needed to make this or this, like this either had to be lower or this had to be taller, because the flags were kind of even and it just didn't look right. I think if this one was a bit higher or something, I think 2 flags would have been adorable as well, but I just put 1. This to me does look like a haunted sandcastle. I don't know which side I like better. I don't know if I like the front better or the back better, because I love a good gingham pattern, and I am so glad that I did go with the gingham on the back, because it's like 2 bags in one. We've seen the bag, we've talked about the bag. Now let's sit down and talk a little bit more about the details of making this project. This bag took me 17 hours to make, and I didn't think that was a long time. And then I looked at last year's Summerween bag, the skeleton Summerween bag, this bag. This one only took me, I think, like 9 hours. 8 more hours to do this. Even though, yes, I know this is a bigger bag, but I used thicker yarn. Why did it take me so long? And then I remembered, oh wait, I had to crochet this whole panel that goes on the side, that goes on the bottom, and I had to crochet the handles, and I had to sew on the handles, and I had to weave in the ends. This one, there's no side, no bottom, and I didn't have to crochet the straps. How much yarn did I use? Maybe I should start weighing the yarn before I start the project, and then I can like say how much I used, because I don't know. This is how much of the yarn I have left for that teal color that I used on the front. This is it. It was almost a full skein, and this is all that's left from it. After I did the front panel, I did attach the sides, like the side panel, with this color. Definitely would not have been enough to do the gingham on the back, so I'm so glad I didn't do that, because I would have been very upset if I would have gotten halfway down the back panel and then ran out of this. And I wasn't going to go buy another one. And then this is all I have left for the beige. The beige was pretty much an entire skein. Even though I did buy it for the scarf, I can't remember if I used it for the scarf, and if I did not use a lot of it. So these 2 skeins were like pretty much full. Then we have this one here, which was just used for the back. I need to roll it up because I feel like it will just get it very tangled if I leave it like this. Used a lot of this yarn, and this is the dark blue. This one was pretty full. It's pretty flat now. Did use a lot of this. Remember at the beginning how full these 2 were? Look at them now. They're so little itty bitty, which is great because I am trying to use as much yarn as possible up. So I did make a little tiny dent in my yarn stash. Again, I was really hoping to use this like teal blue for the blue squares on the back. But you know what? It's okay, because I wasn't planning on doing any like side panels or bottom panels of the bag. So the blue that I ended up using as the dark color for the gingham part, I was able to tie it in on the sides. So I think that's okay. I'm quite happy with how it looks. I also love how the gingham turned out. I think it looks so good. I love a good crochet gingham. Another thing that I do want to talk about is the Soft Classics versus Craft Smart yarn. In my head, I've had it where like, oh, like the Soft Classics by Loops and Threads is the same thickness as the old Craft Smart, and yes and no. The Soft Classics is much thicker than the Loops and Threads Impeccable yarn. That is true, but it is slightly smaller than the Craft Smart yarn by just a little bit, because the black yarn here that I used for the windows was actually the Soft Classics, and I thought that was really thick yarn. And then when I was crocheting it compared to this teal yarn, much thinner. Although I do have to say, Loops and Threads had made their yarn a little bit thinner from the original. And I actually found that out, literally found that out last year when I was working on this bag. I was trying to use yarn that I already had, and I had a lot of it, but I just needed a little bit more. I ended up going to Michael's and I bought a new yarn, and yes, I know that the yarn color would have been different because it's not the same dye lot, and I only needed a little bit, so I didn't really care that the yarn color didn't match. And honestly, I can't even tell where that was. It was like somewhere around here. But what I did notice is when I switched from the old loops and threads to the new loops and threads, impeccable, it was ever so slightly thinner. I think the same thing happened when Craft Smart became Soft Classics. And I don't know if that's how it went. I don't know if they got bought out. I don't know the technical, logistical stuff about that. All I know is that the texture and the feeling of Soft Classics compared to Craft Smart is the same. It's just Soft Classics is a little bit thinner. I didn't even notice there was a difference until I actually had to use both of them together. I am really glad though that I was able to use yarn from my yarn stash. Again, I am trying to use as much yarn as possible. I used a lot of it up, which is fantastic. I just hope that there's not a project that comes up where it's like, Michelle, you should have saved that yarn. And I think that's what goes through my head is I'm like, no, I don't want to waste this yarn on this project because of what if one day that is the perfect yarn I need for another project. And then I just hoard a bunch of yarn that I don't need to hoard yarn. So that's my main problem of why I don't use as much yarn as I probably should. This bag, I probably give like an 8 out of 10. I think it is really cute. I love how the sandcastle turned out. I think the sun looks really good. I wasn't too sure because I remember when I was doing the moon the first time years ago, I had made it round in Procreate. And then when I was doing it, it was like really short and it wasn't like round. And so I made it like oblong. So I made it taller and I'm like, oh no, is the sun going to be a weird shape now? But it turned out perfectly round. I made it because of the haunted sandcastle, but the sun looks so good. I absolutely love this sun. Something that I did want to put in here and then I just kind of forgot about is I did want to put like maybe some seagulls. So maybe I'll get some yarn and maybe just like sew in some seagulls somewhere. You know, instead of bats flying around, it's seagulls flying around. And I had already gotten to the top and I'm like, I can't take it apart because then I'd have to take all of this apart. And it was just like, I'm too far now. And I love the back here. The gingham pattern looks so good. And I really love the beige with the gingham. I think it looks so good. It doesn't even look too beigey. Like on the front here, that looks very beige, but on the back, it's looking a little bit more on the white side. I don't know. I think it looks really good. If I were to do it again, I think I'd like to get more of like a beigey color because I think it softens up the look. The white is sometimes way too bright. I think it did turn out pretty cute. In the comments below, let me know if any of y'all have made any Summerween projects this summer. I know I'm a little late on the Summerween projects. I like to get them out a little bit, you know, earlier in the year, like early July, June. But yeah, just let me know in the comments if you have made any Summerween projects or if you're planning on making any Summerween projects. Again, all of my Summerween patterns are located on my Patreon and I do have a link in the description. You know, if you're ever interested in any of my patterns, that is where you can find them. I think that does it for this video, so y'all have a good day now.